The old mining town of Silver Plume, Colorado, perched high in the Rockies, welcomed Keith Reinhard in the summer of 1988. Reinhard, a man seeking reinvention, traded his life as a sports writer for the quiet solitude of the mountains. He yearned for a simpler existence. He dreamed of opening an antique shop, a place where forgotten treasures could find new life. But more than anything, Reinhard craved the time and space to write. He carried with him the ambition of completing a novel, a story that he hoped would resonate with readers. Silver Plume, with its breathtaking scenery and air thick with mystery, seemed like the perfect muse. Reinhard settled into a small cabin on the outskirts of town. The days were quiet, filled with the sounds of wind whispering through the pines and the distant rush of the creek. He spent his mornings exploring the winding mountain trails, his boots crunching on the dusty path. In the afternoons, he would retreat to his writing desk, the clatter of his old typewriter echoing through the cabin. He was determined to make his mark on the literary world, to prove that he was more than just a washed-up sports writer. But as the days turned into weeks, the shadow began to creep into Reinhard's idyllic mountain retreat. It started subtly. A whisper in the local tavern, a headline in the regional newspaper. The story, though, had a way of burrowing under your skin, like the mountain chill that seeped into your bones on a starless night. It was the tale of Tom Young, a man who had vanished from Silver Plume a year prior. Young, a quiet, bookish man, owned a small bookstore in the heart of town. He was a fixture in the community, known for his gentle demeanor and his encyclopedic knowledge of literature. Then, one crisp September evening, Young closed up shop and was never seen again. The mystery of his disappearance hung over Silver Plume like a shroud. Reinhard initially saw Young's story as nothing more than a local tragedy, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of life. He couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy for the missing man and his loved ones. Yet as time went on, the story began to consume him. He found himself drawn to the mystery, to the unanswered questions that swirled around Young's disappearance. He started asking questions, seeking out anyone who might have known Young. He devoured every newspaper article, every police report, every whisper and rumor that circulated through the town. What began as casual curiosity morphed into an obsession, a tangled knot of fascination and unease that tightened its grip on Reinhard's mind. The more Reinhard learned about Tom Young, the more intrigued he became. Young, like Reinhard, was a transplant to Silver Plume, seeking solace and inspiration in the mountains. He had purchased a dilapidated bookstore, transforming it into a cozy haven for fellow bibliophiles. Locals spoke of Young with a fondness that bordered on reverence. He was a quiet listener, a man who seemed to possess an uncanny ability to recommend the perfect book for any mood or occasion. But there were whispers, too, of a darkness that lurked beneath Young's placid surface. Some whispered of a failed marriage, a bitter divorce that had left Young shattered. Others spoke of financial troubles, of mounting debts that threatened to consume his beloved bookstore. And then there were the rumors, the unsubstantiated claims that painted Young as a recluse, a man haunted by his past. These whispers, though unsubstantiated, cast a sinister pall over Young's legacy, transforming him from a beloved shopkeeper into a figure of enigma and suspicion. Reinhard, his writer's imagination ignited, began to see Young's story as fertile ground for his novel. He started incorporating elements of Young's life into his manuscript, drawing parallels between the missing shopkeeper and his protagonist. His characters began to take on lives of their own, their fates intertwined with the real-life mystery that haunted Silver Plume. Reinhard's protagonist, a reclusive writer named Gypsum, bore a striking resemblance to Tom Young. Both were solitary figures, seeking solace in the solitude of the mountains. Both were haunted by their pasts, their present overshadowed by the spectre of past failures and regrets. As Reinhard delved deeper into his writing, the line between fiction and reality began to blur. He found himself spending hours at Young's abandoned bookstore, running his fingers along the dusty shelves, imagining the missing man surrounded by his beloved books. He hiked the same trails that Young was known to frequent, his senses on high alert, as if searching for some tangible clue that would unravel the mystery. The townsfolk, initially charmed by Reinhard's interest in their local law, grew increasingly unnerved by his growing obsession. His questions became more pointed, his demeanor more intense. He seemed to be losing himself in the labyrinthine corridors of his own mind, his grip on reality growing more tenuous with each passing day. He would corner locals in the post office, at the market, even at the foot of their own driveways, his eyes burning with an unnerving intensity as he peppered them with questions about Young. Reinhard's manuscript, meanwhile, became a chilling reflection of his own descent into obsession. Gypsum, like Reinhard, became fixated on the disappearance of a local man, his search for answers leading him down a treacherous path of paranoia and delusion. The pages of his novel were filled with eerie premonitions, with passages that seemed to foreshadow a dark and unsettling end. On a sweltering July day, a group of hunters stumbled upon a grisly discovery on the slopes of Republican Mountain, a towering peak that loomed over Silver Plume. Partially concealed beneath a thicket of pine boughs lay the skeletal remains of a man. A tattered shirt and a pair of hiking boots confirmed what many had long suspected. Tom Young had not simply vanished. He had met an untimely end on the unforgiving slopes of the mountain. The discovery sent shockwaves through Silver Plume. The mystery that had haunted the town for nearly a year had been solved, but the revelation brought little solace. Forensic analysis painted a grim picture of Young's final moments. 2 bullet holes in the skull, a .38 caliber revolver clutched in his skeletal hand, and a hastily scribbled note found in his pocket pointed to a tragic conclusion: suicide. The note, addressed to no one in particular, spoke of despair, of a life devoid of meaning, of a soul weary of the relentless march of time. The townsfolk, though relieved to finally have closure, struggled to reconcile the image of the quiet, bookish shopkeeper with the violence of his death. Rumors like wildfire swept through the town. Some whispered of a secret love affair gone wrong, a desperate act driven by a love scorned. Others speculated about hidden debts, claiming that Young had been embroiled in shady dealings that had spiraled out of control. Sometimes things just disappear without a trace. It's like one moment they're here and the next they're gone. This phenomenon has puzzled humans for centuries. How can something just vanish? Is it a trick of the mind, or is there something more mysterious at play? In this scene, we delve into some of the most baffling disappearances ever recorded. From lost civilizations to modern-day mysteries, the stories you'll hear will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. So let's dive in and explore the enigmatic world of the vanished. As we delve deeper into the manuscript, subtle echoes of the past begin to emerge. These whispers, almost imperceptible, hint at stories long forgotten. Each page, each stroke of ink carries the weight of history. It's as if the manuscript itself is alive, breathing life into tales that yearn to be told. In the quiet corners of the town, hushed whispers speak of a tragic end. The word suicide lingers in the air. Heavy with sorrow and unanswered questions, it's a topic that many avoid, yet its shadow looms large over the community. Each whisper adds to the collective grief, a reminder of the fragility of life and the depths of human despair. Amidst the sorrow, suspicions arise. Could there be more to the story than meets the eye? The spectre of foul play casts a dark shadow, prompting questions and doubts. Evidence is scrutinized and every detail is re-examined. The community is left to wonder. Was it truly a tragic accident, or is there a more sinister truth lurking beneath the surface? The community, now grappling with these revelations, finds itself at a crossroads. Conversations are filled with a mix of fear, anger, and confusion. People come together, seeking solace and understanding, trying to make sense of the events that have shaken their world. It is a time of reflection as they navigate the delicate balance between mourning and seeking justice.